Welcome to Arkansas, friends, a state so drenched in contradictions it makes Kafka look like a realist. The trees are green, the rivers still run, and the hogs still root in the dirt. The government is a damn carnival of absurdities masquerading as policy. A sideshow of misplaced moral crusades, anti-poor legislation, and Bible-thumping nonsense wrapped in the American flag and dipped in barbecue sauce. So let's begin with the LEARNS Act, that legislative turducken of performative politics, packaged with a name so Orwellian it might have come from the Ministry of Truth. The LEARNS Act is what happens when ideologues get bored and decide to play operation with the entire education system. Freedom accounts, they call them. School vouchers that divert public money into private hands. Public schools are left to rot like an old pair of work boots in the rain, while Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders struts about like she solved the Rubik's Cube of education with a single swipe of taxpayer-funded lipstick. And speaking of Sanders, that Duchess of Dysfunction herself, she vetoed a bill that would have provided free school lunches for children. Why? Not because it was too expensive. No, she found the funds to fly her best friend to France on a $20,000 taxpayer-funded junket. You can't feed a child in Little Rock, but you can absolutely wine and dine in the Latin Quarter on Arkansas's tab. That's not governance, that's aristocracy in cowboy boots. But power corrupts most efficiently when it's bored, and Sarah Sanders is never bored. After failing to pass legislation that would completely dissolve the Arkansas State Library Board, an independent body that dared to value books over fear, she did what any authoritarian-minded bureaucrat would do. She fired every single member, and not for cause, not for conduct, but because they wouldn't bend to her culture war crusade. She will now replace them with whomever she sees fit. Hand-picked ideological mannequins posed to rewrite her shelves. Orwell's Ministry of Truth would blush. This isn't policy, this is regime behavior. If you can't control the books, control the people who decide which books are allowed. The natural state now has a state-sponsored thought police with a Pinterest account. And meanwhile, in the smoky chambers of the Arkansas Capitol, someone, probably half drunk on power and the ghost of Ronald Reagan, thought it was wise to pass legislation allowing 12-year-olds to work unrestricted jobs. 12. The same age most kids are failing algebra and getting excited about Pokemon. But not in Arkansas. Here they'll be mopping floors and flipping burgers while their rich overlords chant self-reliance like it's a pledge of allegiance. And let's be clear, this isn't about instilling work ethic, it's about avoiding SNAP benefits. If a kid earns a wage, even a pitiful one, that's one less mouth to feed on the Arkansas state dime. It's poverty laundering disguised as policy. It's exploitation as legislation. It's child labor for the sake of capitalism. And now, as if privatizing childhood and defunding education weren't enough, the Arkansas House has turned its side on the land itself. A new bill, frightening in its casual audacity, would remove protected status from the Buffalo National River. Yes, the first national river in the United States. A sacred vein running through the Ozarks. A place of clear water and quiet salvation. They want to strip its protections like bark from a tree, leaving it exposed to the claws of industrial development. And that's code for fracking rigs, waste runoff, and sweet song of short-term profit. In a just society, such a bill would be laughed out of the chamber, but here in Arkansas, it's paraded as economic opportunity. This is how civilizations fall, not with a bang, but with a bulldozer. And let us not forget our rankings. A word that here might as well mean public disgrace. Arkansas ranks near the bottom in public education. We have one of the highest infant mortality rates in the developed world. We are near the top in teenage pregnancies and in the bottom in women's access to health care. Our poverty rate hovers around 16%, and in some rural counties it spikes far higher. Access to basic medical care is so scarce that you'd have better luck finding a dentist in the woods with a flashlight and a pair of pliers. And what of our fearless leaders? What are they doing about all of this? Nothing. No major legislation to improve public schools, no bills to lower infant mortality, no plans for expanding access to maternal care, no efforts to reduce teen pregnancies with comprehensive sexual education, no push to lift families out of poverty with wage increases, child tax credits, or affordable housing. Instead, we get welfare for the wealthy, corporate tax breaks, deregulation for developers, and a steady assault on the poor, the young, the sick, and the natural world itself. They've branded us the natural state and then spent every legislative session trying to pave it over, sell it off, or pump it full of pig shit. What we are witnessing is not just a breakdown of policy, but a perversion of moral order. The people in power worship bootstraps and bootstrap factories, scorning the very idea of collective responsibility unless it's policing wounds or banning books. They do not govern, they punish. They do not lead, they pander. And here's the real kicker. The people of Arkansas deserve better. The working class farmers, the cafeteria workers, the welders, the poets and the preachers, and the single mobs trying to raise decent human beings in a system that keeps voting against its own future. These people are the backbone, not the enemy. And they've been fed a steady diet of fear and bullshit from the very folks who claim to represent them. The Arkansas legislature is not broken. It is operating exactly as designed, to enrich the rich, starve the poor, and punish anyone who dares ask, but what about the children? Or even worse, what about the river? So, here's to the flowers blooming in the dirt, to the kids with empty lunch trays, to the 12-year-olds who should be learning to dream instead of learning to clock in. And here's to the Buffalo River, still flowing for now. May it outlast the ignorance of Sarah Sanders. May the people one day rise, not just in resistance, but in renaissance. And until then, the rest of us must keep riding, marching, keep shouting until the marble halls echo with truth. As our very own Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And our leadership has shown us time and time again who they are. Now it's time we show them who we are. Defiance till death.